Have you ever felt like your value disappeared the minute you messed up? That was me, almost 2 hours late to a retreat I was co-leading. And the spiral came fast. I ruined it. They're disappointed. I don't deserve to lead anymore. But I didn't want to run away. I wanted to shrink, to fawn, to apologize 10 million times just to earn back my worth. What if you never lost it to begin with? What if being messy, being imperfect, being shaky isn't a reason to give up your throne, but the reason to sit in it? This story cracked something open in me, and I hope it does the same for you. This is episode 78, How to Own Your Throne Even When You Feel Shaky. Welcome to Healing with Haley. I'm your coach, Haley Kirk. On this podcast, we dive into ways to heal, embrace, and truly love our lives. Here's my belief. So much of our suffering comes from what we believe. I'm here to help you understand your mind and question those thoughts to start your healing journey. Ready to get started? Let's go. Welcome, you guys, to the podcast. My friends, my family, my community, thank you so much. I have a huge shout out to give because guess what? I have like 200-ish, 250-ish podcast downloads to go to hit my next crazy goal, which was to hit 10,000 downloads in 30 days. Guys, what? So I thought it was insane. I at first had the goal to hit 1,000 downloads in 30 days. And I was like, what the hell? Why not 10x it and get 10,000 downloads? So I really am so grateful to have that happen for me. And what that means is my audience is reaching more ears, more souls, more hearts, more minds, and just making the better of everything, like making the world a better place because we're healing, right? I think that the reason we show up messy is there's those unhealed parts in us, which brings me back to the topic of the episode. Guys, I want to paint the story for you because it was so unnerving and overwhelming and insane how I felt this past Saturday. So I realized I had a mold issue in my house again, and I'm taking it very seriously because back in March, as you, my amazing community know, I had bronchitis, and then I tried to clean up this mold in my house with doing it very unsafely, and then I ended up in the ER. So fast forward, I found some mold in my kitchen and like a kitchen vent. And I ChatGPT'd it and it was like, yeah, that's very bad, very dangerous. So I got a bunch of quotes and I was just dealing with all of that. And I wanted to have the basement like organized because it was a hot mess. And so that was my focus for the week. And I had the retreat in mind. However, I'm not sure how, but somewhere that week, my friend Ixiana and she's been on the podcast, and she and I had a Zoom meeting where we talked about in detail the itinerary of the meeting and the evening and the day and the workshop. And I had it written down and she had a shared notepad. And I don't know why my mind just defaulted to, oh yeah, the start time is 1 p.m. It was different this Saturday. It was not at 1 p.m. It was at 11:30, the start time. And just crash. So I woke up Saturday morning at 8:39 a.m. and I was like, cool, I'm going to organize, just hurry and finish organizing the basement. And then I'll go to get ready and leave. I was doing my meditations. I was doing my mindfulness practices. I was drinking my smoothies, and I went down there. I got all my equipment and my my N95 mask, my gloves, my long sleeve things, putting my hair in a hoodie, and everything was covered. Like all my skin was covered as much as possible. And I was just like listening to an audiobook and just taking my time because I thought I had time. And then I still was 20 minutes late. And so I messaged the chat and I was saying, hey guys, my ETA is 1:20. I'm so sorry I'm going to be 20 minutes late. I'll be there as soon as possible. I'm sorry. And then I had this like eerie feeling like, wait, I got a text message from the group chat of the event coordinators. And one of them was like, I'm going to stop by to get coffee before I leave. And then I was like, wait, that was at like 10 a.m. Why would she say it then and not like later? And then I wasn't getting any messages from anyone. And then I said, no, like that's when my heart sank into my stomach. I, I, I panicked. I freaked out. I was like, no, please, God, no. Please tell me it started at 1. I go back to the event and it said 11:30. I was scrambling the webpage because I was like, no, no, no. Like, does that mean that, there's this just a lot of time to mingle and then it'll start at 1? No, no, it was like 30 minutes of mingling. And I looked through my notes, my note that she collaborated with, and it said start time 11:30 and the whole itinerary. And there was so much shame, guys. There was so much shame. I was like, I'm so responsible. I'm, my parents were right. I'm an airhead. Like, I don't have my shit together. Like, I just started cussing up a storm and like blaming and shaming and being so mean to myself. And I sent another message to the group chat just saying, oh my God, I am so sorry. I thought this whole time it started at 1. And oy. So I started to process what was happening. And I noticed myself going into that self-erasure, self-deprecating, like, okay, when I get there, I'm just going to like apologize profusely. And then I'm just going to like make it up and like, stay after. And like, I was trying to figure out all these ways I could make it right and earn my value as a human being back. And I was like, wait, this is wrong, right? This is wrong. And so for me, it was this huge shame spiral, right? And for those of you who don't know what fawning is, it's the instinct to over apologize, over explain, make yourself small. Fawning is a trauma response, and it's very similar to people pleasing, right? They kind of overlap quite a bit. And I think the most important thing about fawning is that making yourself small, right? I'll make myself small and like hate myself as a human being in order to make penance or to pay penance, right? For the wrong I have done. And it wasn't that I wanted to avoid the situation. I was on my way and heading there now. I wanted to be small enough to feel safe again, to feel worthy to be there. And, as I've shared in the podcast very vulnerably, my childhood had some trauma, like all of us, but that was definitely something that kept me safe. I would definitely say is that if I if I was small and if I did actions to make up for the wrong I had done, it felt like that was like the safe thing to do. Regardless of why I do it, it's important to know, yes, to know why, but then I had to make a shift, right? I had to make a shift and be like, I do want to apologize, right? I am sorry for being late and being unprofessional and probably creating a lot of, stress, chaos, putting my teammates out and be like, yo, this is weird. Where's our co-creator? So I wanted to own up to it. I wanted to have accountability. I wanted to apologize. I didn't want to walk in shame, right? Like walk in small and like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't want that. I didn't want that energy. I wanted it to be like, I'm sorry. I'm here. I can't, and be genuine and compassionate. Be like, I can imagine how much stress that put on you. And that's not my intention. I didn't want to show up in that way. I'm here now. I'm ready to make the magic happen, right? I can take responsibility without abandoning myself. How much of a difference is that than like, I'm going to shrink myself to earn my favor in your eyes? Ugh, no. And that's where my tendency leans. My tendency leans to the let me make myself small so that you don't hate me anymore or you don't approve of me anymore, so that I can be worthy in your eyes. So I sent that message, and then there was parts of me that were like, you know what? This is just crazy. I started to like coach myself a little bit. Is that concept of leadership and royalty, right? And every single human being is so imperfect and messy. And what if that gives us every right to be on whatever position we hold, right? Mother, CEO, business owner, entrepreneur, right? Whatever position we hold, vice president, secretary, director of operations, finance, whatever position we hold, positions, I'm sure we hold multiple ones. We deserve to be there because we're there, right? That's the reality of the situation. We hold these titles. And so why would we let our mistakes shrink us into not believing we deserve to be there? We deserve to be there because that's our birthright. No one shamed me harder than I had already shamed myself in that moment. I was very self-deprecating and just mentally abusive to myself when I found out I had messed up. And then I said, whoa. Let's rewrite this story, because we're not going to show up for these beautiful women in the way that we want to, right? And I just started to picture, right? And this is what ego does. Ego creates this false perception of past and future, right? It's just always in the past and future and creating this drama. And I started to think about the faces of the people and the face of Ixiana and how, she might be like, oh yeah, welcome. And the girls would be like, oh, hi, like she's here. She's really late, right? Kind of judgmental, contemptuous, just disappointed. And I was really afraid. I knew I had disappointed Ixiana in that way, right? At least the way of being late. But then I created a lot of drama around it. Like, she's probably never going to want to work with me again. She's, not going to want to pay me. And I just should not let her pay me. And I should just, tell her to not pay me. And that way I can make up for my mistake. Crazy, right? And the thing about this is the truth of the matter. Leadership is not about perfection. It's about presence and repair. Fawning is not the same as accountability. Just let that sink in. Fawning is not the same as accountability. This is what accountability sounds like. Ixiana, I am so sorry. I know that probably put a lot of stress on you. I'm here to make the magic happen. Fawning. Ixiana, I am so sorry. I cannot believe I did this. I showed up irresponsibly and I don't even know why you picked me to be here. And you know what? You don't even have to pay me, actually. I'm just going to do this for free. You see the difference in the response? Accountability versus fawning. Huge, huge difference. And guess what? Worth doesn't have to be earned back. It was never gone. Can you guys let that message like sink deeply in? There's so much of us as human beings that tie our worth to our output, to our results, to anything. It's never the case. Our worth was never in the question, right? How do we know we're worthy? Because we exist, we're here. That's how we know. And like I've said in the past, you can make a case that others produce more value. Sure, their output produces more value, but your value never changes, ever, right? And isn't that just such a beautiful thought? Like, no matter what I do, I am inherently worthy as a human being because I exist. That's my proof. I am is proof enough of my worth. Now we can have a conversation about, the value or the change, the impact, the influence that you make, positive or negative, sure. But the value, the inherent worth of a human being, always there. So here's a reflective question. Where do you make yourself small to feel safe again? Is it with your parents? With your friends? With specific friend groups? At the gym? In your dance communities or just communities in general? At church? At work? In your neighborhood? Right? There's so many ways we're unconsciously doing this. And I am guilty of it. I am absolutely guilty of this. So what ended up happening was I walk into the door and I was kind of coaching myself on how I was going to lead this error that I made, this mistake. And I walk in the door, I hug Ixiana and I say, Ixiana. And okay, guys, she welcomes me happily with open arms, like, you're here, you made it. Like nothing, didn't skip a beat. I didn't sense any resentment or disappointment or frustration or stress. I was like, I would have been pissed if I was Ixiana. Truly, I would have. Like, I was counting on you and you weren't here and now you're 2 hours late. What? Ugh, I would have been very pissed. In all honesty, right? But she was not. She was cool as clam. I mean, I was like, I kind of want you to be mad at me. And then she's like, do you want any help? Like, can I help you? And she's like, there's tons of food. Like, make yourself comfortable. And I was like, Ixiana, I am so sorry. I'm so late. And I can imagine how much like stress that put on you and how much I put you out. And I'm just really so sorry. I know I disappointed you in that way, but I'm here to make it the magic happen. She's like, oh, don't even worry about it. And then she said this, she's like, so many people thought it started at 1, actually. And I was like, really? Like, Okay, great. I mean, kind of, but oh, interesting. So I walk into that side of the house. Her house is like absolutely gorgeous and it's perfect for retreats. You walk into the door and on the left-hand side, you see this big open like dining room, living room, kitchen area, and it's just vast and big, beautiful. And that's where I had met up with Ixiana. And then to the right is her studio where she had the painting healing exercise that was so cool, led by our friend Shiomara. And she was doing this super cool, relaxing, meditative paint session where you paint yourself in this very artistic way. And I took a deep breath. I put my stuff down and I allowed myself to land into the room. So I was like, okay, we're good. We're here. You made it. Game time. Let's make magic happen. So I walk into the room. I took my time, honestly, guys. I took a drink of water. I set my stuff down. I was just trying to like land, right? Okay, we're safe. We're here. We're okay. Yes, you're late. Let's make this actually an embodiment of what I'm trying to teach, right? That it's not about being perfect. It's about holding your throne in your imperfection. Like, and let me be a testament of that to you today. That was my message. And I land, I collect myself, I take some deep breaths. I get all my mirror set up because I was teaching the Hills class for this event. I get my speaker out and we're ready. So I walk into the room where they're painting and doing that segment of the workshop. And I walk in and I start, saying hi quietly. I didn't want to interrupt. I said hi quietly to Shiomara. And then I noticed people were just like giving me friendly, like, because this is my third time now doing this retreat and I recognize some faces. And so I, was saying hi and then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, since the moment had kind of shifted, I was like, you guys, I just want to say I am so sorry I'm late. I didn't intend to like disrespect your time, but I am the example of how you can still show up in your imperfections and still lead. And then they were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was so cute. And then the moment faded. Like it was just it was so not a big deal for them. And it felt that way. They were there, they were vibing, they were in this really meditative, yummy energy. And I know that Ixiana created that energy and environment for them. And it just felt like, this is where I'm supposed to be. It felt so good. It felt so good. And I killed it for the heels class. It was amazing. And, I loved my preparation for this event. I really did. I was, and honest, lately I've been in a funk with my dancing. I have been in a burnout stage of my dancing. And I'm trying to go back to my roots. Why do I enjoy dancing? And why is this why was I called to this? What is this space? And I went down to my roots of little Haley grabbing a hairbrush and pretending she was Shakira, Sierra, Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. I mean, like all my favorite icons. I pretended to be them. And I was like them on the concert and on stage and just I had my hairbrush and all the outfits and the glam and the spotlights and the crowd going crazy for me. And I I wanted everyone to be in that dreamy place and meet their little girl versions of them and remember that it's okay to be messy and to be playful and that's what I'm loving about this phase of being a mom is how much kids love to play and adults forget. We forget how to play. And it's still uncomfortable for me. I'll be honest, like every day when my son asks me to play with him, I'm like, God, like I don't have ideas. Like I'm just, and I know I need to fix these thoughts, by the way, but I wanted to tap into that energy. And it was so fun creating the choreo. It was Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears. And I was just like, how would little Haley want big Haley to choreograph this? And I was just like, you know what? It would be fun and it would be just simple movements. It would just be simple, 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 like nothing too crazy. Just maybe a little sprinkles of what I know now, but nothing too crazy. It's just playful and light and fun. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. And I had so much fun creating the choreo. And I'm sure I looked silly at my gym in the, those yoga, Pilates exercise rooms. I'm sure I looked crazy. And I didn't care because I was having so much fun creating it. And it was this healing movement to just dance and in a chaotic, non-uniform, non-professional way. And I loved it. I had so much fun with it. It was very dramatic, all the like hits and just like walking moments and little playful moments and little drama moments. And it was so awesome that I could genuinely tap into that version of me that was my little girl. And like I was speaking to my little girl and getting choked up speaking about her with the girls before the presentation. And I said, this is a love letter. This is a love letter to the little girl in you who had no fear and could dream and could be anything she wanted to be. And she could play and be silly and goofy and dramatic and sexy and playful and flirty, right? And it was all okay, right? And I even said, this comes from Brene Brown, but I give you permission to touch your body in a way that feels comfortable for you, and to be sexy and to be playful and just have fun. And I saw a lot of girls just like get out of, ladies, I should say, saw a lot of the women get out of their comfort zones and just play and put on. We had Ixiana has so many fun decorative pieces and hats and scarves, and it was fun. It was fun to be playful, and the ending of the retreat was so beautiful and so needed. Everyone was in a circle and we passed around a compliment in public, and then in private we wrote little love notes to each other and handed it to them in this cute little mason jar that Ixiana prepared, and it was so lovely. It was such a lovely event. And afterwards we a few of us hung around, and then we went to a swimming pool, her neighbor's swimming pool, and came back, and we were just talking about anything and everything, history, politics, energies, and different modalities of healing. And it was such a beautiful moment for me to just relax and enjoy and not have to prove and be silly. And I was cracking jokes. I was being my normal, crazy, fun vibe. and and I can tell people have a lot of fun with me when I'm in that energy. I can tell. And I like believing that they do, even if they're not. But I love that version of me. I love how I showed up to that event, even though I was frickin' 2 hours late. So I just want to let you guys know that no matter what mistakes you made, no matter what level of enlightenment or healing or knowledge no matter at what level or stage of life you're in, you're going to make mistakes and it's going to make you so mad. Okay. It's okay to be mad. I want you to fuel that anger into something healing, right? Into, okay, we're upset, but here's where we draw the line. We're not going to fawn. We're not going to people please. We're not going to shrink. Okay. It's okay to be mad, but this is the line. We're not going there. Here's why, because we love ourselves. We're not going to go there. Nope. We've crossed the boundary, right? Have boundaries with yourself. This is also so cool and a topic for another day. I want to leave you with this little monologue, if you will. Here's what I know to be true. Your throne is your birthright, and birthrights aren't earned. They're inherited. But oof, there are moments where we feel so unworthy at that throne. When you're late, when you mess up, when you disappoint. And everything in your body says, shrink, apologize, overcompensate, give it back. You don't deserve this. But what if worth wasn't something you had to re-earn? What if being shaken and still showing up is the most powerful form of royalty? You don't lose your throne because you tripped. You don't get demoted because you arrived messy. That seat was carved for you by your ancestors, by your inner child, your soul's mission. So when you feel shaky, when you feel like a fraud, sit anyway. Sit with trembling knees. Sit with a soft heart. Sit with truth. Because you were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real. And that's what makes you royalty. Thank you guys for letting me share that vulnerable story, yet so empowering. And what I want to offer to you guys is, where are you still trying to earn your throne? What does it look like to sit with shaky legs and still claim your seat? You guys, thank you again for being so supportive, for helping me accomplish this goal of 10,000 downloads in 30 days. I am so excited and I'm grateful for your beautiful attending ear to all these episodes for almost 2 years now. That'll be in December. And I'm always open to feedback. If you guys have any requests for podcast episodes, if you guys are interested in certain topics, send them my way. healingwithhaley@gmail.com. healingwithhaley@gmail.com. I am so open to feedback. You can lash out at me. You can send me praise. You can be as critical as possible. I welcome it all. With just a dash of kindness would be nice. But I do appreciate the feedback. Thank you again. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. All right, before you go, I need you to hear this. You don't need to keep white knuckling your way through life. You don't need to figure it out on your own. You deserve support. You deserve strategy. You deserve to feel like yourself again. And that's exactly why I'm offering you a complimentary free 30-minute coaching session. No strings, no pressure, just real conversation, real breakthroughs, and a real chance to feel lighter, clearer, and way more in control. If you've been listening and nodding your head thinking, yes, that's me, then this is the moment to stop thinking and start doing. Click the link in the show notes and schedule your free session right now. Right now, not later, not when you have time, right this moment, because you're worth showing up for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at healing_with_Haley. I am here for you, but don't overthink it. What you're going to do in this free session is we're going to unpack any negative belief systems, build momentum with clear strategies, leave you feeling lighter, calmer, more confident, more grounded. These are the emotions you're going to feel after a session with me. Don't overthink it. The life you want starts with one decision. This could be the one thing that changes everything for you this year. Let's do this.